Okay, good morning, students. Once again, I'll present my screen, my presentation. I'll present my presentation. Okay. So we'll discuss about Unit 3, transport layer. So transport layer is a very important layer in your computer networks. Okay, the services offered by the transport layer is very, very important. All right. So now we will discuss what is the need of a transport layer and what are the different types of protocol used in transport layer and how these protocol helps in achieving the best services in the networks. Okay. So starting from what is a transport layer protocol? Okay, so what is the first primary purpose of a transport layer protocol is it provides the logical communication between the application processes. Okay, it provides a logical communication. So from the application's perspective, for example, you imagine you're accessing Google, okay, www.google.com. Immediately you get the response in your iPhone or your smartphone or your laptop, wherever you access the Google page, immediately you get the page in it. Okay, how do you get it? Okay, as if the application, okay, for the person who is enjoying the application, it seems that you are just sitting next. Okay, your Google server is just next to you. Okay, so have you just experimented that? For example, you type facebook.com, within a flick of a second all the your mail and everything, okay, the post and everything, just it's downloaded to your smartphone. Okay, so now for the in the applications perspective, it seems that both of them are sitting very close to each other. Okay, but actually what is the primary thing is it is not so. Okay, see, your packet has to jump many routers, it has to jump many switches, it has to go under the oceans, okay, many times fly over your head, and all these things takes place in real time. Okay, so in the applications perspective, Google is, it seems to be like near, but actually it is not near, it is in the other part of the world. So your packet just takes its journey from the smartphone. It just go to your cell tower, fly over your head. Then from the cell tower, it just go below the ground. It meets many routers on its way. Many a times the packets are waiting. Then it just go through different type of oceans. It has to go through oceans. Many times it go to space, then come back, and all these things happen for the packet. Okay, so it keeps on running to give you the best service. That is what is the real concept behind the internet. Okay, whenever you open an application, your application experience such an experience your application has to go to the server and come back to you. This is how services are provided to you. All right, now a transport layer play a many major role in this part. Okay, as it jumps through the internet, transport layer also help the packet to just to take the packet to the server and then bring the reply back to you. Okay, not physically but logically it helps us. Okay, so how does it logically helps us is what we are going to discuss. All right, so now let's take your data is being generated on in the application layer. Your data is being generated. Now what happens in the transport layer is when your data come to the transport layer, the first thing is your transport layer will put it into small segments. Okay, so maybe in TCP you call it a segment, in UDP you call it as datagram. Okay, so initially the transport layer, it puts everybody into small segments and it adds header. You could see that orange color, it adds the header. Okay, so next what happens, it come to the network layer. Okay, your packet comes to the network layer. So in the network layer header is added. Okay, IP addressing is added. All right, then what happens, then coming to the data link layer, again the different type of headers are added. Okay, data link layer header is added and your packet starts its journey here. Okay, from the device your packet starts its journey. Now when your packet come to the router, what happens, we'll see. Okay, when your packet comes to the router, your router will check out for the data link layer. Okay, is it my MAC address? Oh yes, it is my MAC address, so I have to do something with the packet. Now what I am supposed to do, I should check the map and reroute the packet. That is the main function of a router. Okay, every router should check the packet. Okay, it should ask, hey, where should you go? The destination should be inquired by the router, and then based on the destination, it should check the map, and then it should tell, okay, you go this way, you go right, you go left, you go to this interface, you go to this interface. Is what is the primary purpose of a router. So now coming to the network layer, the network layer packets are examined, okay, and then the routing table is checked, and then after checking the routing table, the packet is reframed, then the data link packet is reframed, and then it goes to it just forward the packet. All right. Now here in the router, your transport layer has nothing to do. Okay. So what is that I'm trying to say here? Your transport layer has nothing to do in between. Okay. The purpose or the primary part where your transport layer works is end system. Okay. This is what is the concept that I want to make it clear here. Okay. All your intermediate devices, they mainly concentrate on your IP. Okay. So for example, you just go and check out, you are just going for a wedding. Okay. From Coimbatore, you're driving to Chennai. Okay. On your way, you just miss out the route. Okay. You just miss out the route and you just want somebody, okay, some person in the tea shop. You go and ask him, sir, to go to Chennai, which route I should take, whether I should go straight or to the right. So now the person, that shop person won't ask, okay, sir, where are you going? For what purpose you are going? When will you come back? All these questions you will not ask. If he is asking such question, you will never talk to him, right? What he will ask is, okay, you're going to Chennai, sir. Which place you want to go? Chennai. Then go straight. So the same thing about the router. Okay. The function of a router is you just find out where he should go, route him. Okay. That is a function of a router. Now, what about the transport layer? Now, transport layer has nothing to do with the intermediate devices. Okay. Please make this point very clear. The primary function of transport layer is only in the end system, not in the intermediate devices. Okay. Now coming here to the receiver, what will happen? The data link layer is done. Then the network layer is done. It is decapsulation takes place. Then the transport layer, it just unwrap the packet. It frame the message and give it to the application layer protocol. Okay. A transport layer just rearrange all the packets and give it to the application layer. So this is a primary function of a transport layer. I hope I am very clear in explaining you what is the primary function of a transport layer and what is meant by the logical connection. Okay, actually it's not a physical connection but logical connection. Okay, now the relationship between transport layer and the network layer. Okay, so you imagine this is house number 1 and house number 2. Okay, and in house number 1 there are 2 kids. Okay, so kid 1 and kid 2, blue and yellow, want to send some message to green and red. Okay, so for example, what he'll do, this person will write his own letter, this person will write his own letter. You understand? So let's imagine that these two are 2 different applications running in your end system. All right, so every application will generate their own packet. Okay, and for the destination. All right, so every application will generate their own packet, number 1. Number 2 is every application will hold up their own port number. Okay, every application will hold their own port number. Then what happened? So as the data is ready, they will send through the mail service. Mail service is like your network layer. Okay, so they are the one who checks your address. Okay, it's for this person and they will deliver to the home. But from the home, who have to take the letter for themselves? The application has to take. Okay, so this person has to go to the mailbox and check, oh, this is for me, my name is there. Okay, and she has to go and check the mailbox and take, oh yes, this is for me, my name is there. All right, so this is what is the relationship between transport layer and the network layer. So network layer primarily purpose is to travel, it's to take your packet from the source to destination. Transport layer primary focus is to deliver the packet to the application. Okay, or to get the data from the application or to deliver the packet to the application is what is the function or relationship between transport layer and the network layer. Now I told you that the transport layer uses a very well-known concept called port numbers. Okay, so what is that port number? We have 16 bits is allotted for the port number. Okay, and 0 to 1024 is allotted for well-known port numbers. So any program you write, any interfacing program or any client server program that you write, you should not use port numbers from 0 to 1023. Okay, then from 1024 to 65,535, you can use that numbers for writing your program. Okay. Okay, now transport layer in the internet. What is the primary focus? There are two protocols. One is the transmission control protocol. Then the other one is the user datagram protocol. So whenever transmission control protocol is used, they call it as segment. Whenever user datagram protocol is used, they call it as datagram. Okay. Now, what is the primary function of TCP? So all the characteristics that I have given here is pakka provided by TCP. Okay. Number one is multiplexing and demultiplexing. What is that multiplexing, demultiplexing? See, there are many processes running in a computer. So even as you are listening to this class, you will have your Meet open, then you will have your Facebook open, you will have your mail open, okay, you will have your classroom open. Suppose I just open my Gmeet and I'm delivering the lecture, it directly come to your Gmeet, your respective Gmeet, okay? That is what is called multiplexing. What is multiplexing? Many applications data are just taken and they are framed into a single packet, okay, in the network layer. When it just go out, the network layer packets are done. Okay, what is demultiplexing? Demultiplexing is take the data from the network layer and just give it to the appropriate application. That is what is called demultiplexing. So multiplexing is getting data from different application and giving to the network. Demultiplexing is getting the data, then dividing that for the different application. That is what you called as multiplexing and demultiplexing. So multiplexing and demultiplexing is used in both. TCP also uses that, UDP also uses that. Okay. Now what about the error control? See, error control, even both the TCP and UDP uses the error control. So they uses a well-known concept called, or a simple concept called checksum. Okay, so checksum was a very simple concept that is used in the transport layer for error detection. You cannot correct the errors, but detect it. Okay, so that is what. Then reliable data transfer. So reliable data transfer is not used in UDP, but it's used in TCP. So UDP uses the best effort delivery like IP. Okay, it will try to deliver the packet, but if in case of undelivery, it will not bother about it. Okay, so now coming to the TCP, it offers a reliable data transfer. How do they offer reliable data transfer? By means of sequence number, acknowledgement, and timeout. Okay, so every packet that goes out of the application is given a number. All right, and every packet that is coming from the server is referred using that number. Okay, for example, I say hello number 1, then the server also say server hello number 1. Okay, what is the meaning of that? This is the acknowledgement for your packet. Okay, that number 1 packet, this is the acknowledgement for number 1 packet. Now in the sender side, TCP keeps the record. Okay, 1 is delivered, I got acknowledgement for 1, I got acknowledgement for 2, I got acknowledgement for 3, but 4 I didn't get it, so I have to retransmit. So if it did not receive acknowledgement for any packet, the transport layer will wait. Okay, let me just wait for some time. Even after waiting for some time, if it did not get the reply, it will just retransmit the packet. This is what is the function of TCP. That's why we don't use TCP for real-time applications. Okay, because you have to transmit and wait for the acknowledgement, then retransmit. All these stuffs are there. So this is what is followed for reliable data transfer. You have a sequence number. Every packet is followed with the sequence number, and then once you transmit the sequence number, you will get an acknowledgement. If you did not get an acknowledgement, you wait. Even after timeout, you did not get an acknowledgement, you retransmit. Okay, so the next one is flow control. All right, what is flow control? Suppose your stomach is full and just you come home, your mom has cooked a well delicious biryani, you will not have mood to take it out. Okay, so you'll say, mom, just now I had a very heavy lunch outside, and how will I eat this biryani? Maybe I'll have it for dinner. Okay, so the same thing happens in the network also. If your receiver was overwhelmed with packets, you are just pushing the packet without knowing whether the receiver will receive it or not, your receiver will just eat one or two packets, then the other packet it will just drop it. Okay, it will say, hey, come on, I can receive only 5 packet, but you are giving me 100 packet. I will drop it. Okay. Now flow control is ensuring that sender and receiver are connected. Okay, and they are sending, the sender is sending in the proper proportion, and the receiver is also receiving it in the proper proportion. Okay, so this is what is flow control. So how does it you ensure that? That is what you have something called window. We will discuss about windowing process when we are discussing TCP. Okay, you have a special mechanism called windowing, and using that windowing process, this is monitored. Okay, then coming the congestion control. Again, what is the congestion control? So on its journey, if you are just pushing the packet from the sender, when it goes to the router or any intermediate devices, it will just keep on strucking out. Okay, it keep on struck out. Now this has to be sensed, even though the transport layer does not have any control over the intermediate devices. It has to sense the problem of dropping the packets in the intermediate devices. Okay, so now what it has to do is it has to check out for the dropping of packets. If more dropping of packets is there, it has to slow down. Okay, the TCP has to slow down. So that is what is the congestion control. So all these 5 functions are handled by TCP, but UDP handles only multiplexing and error control. All right. Now, coming to the very important concept called socket. I've given the same slide that I have shared for your unit 2. Okay, so the very important thing is the socket. All right, what is socket? Socket is nothing but it's a combination of IP address and your port number. Okay, so any application, as soon as it comes to the transport layer, it is allotted with a specific source port number and also a destination port number. Now, when it comes to the IP, it is allotted with the same SIP, DIP, SIP, DIP. So for these both entity, the SIP and DIP will be same, but SPDP will be different because they both are different applications. Okay, so you should know for these two applications, even though they generate from the same system, the the DIP is also not same any time. Okay, the SIP is same, but what all the things that is different? SP, DP and DIP. Okay, so all these are different, and this is what you called as the socket. Okay, so using socket only, the transport layer provides logical communication. Okay, using socket only, it provides logical communication. Now, what is the difference between sockets? Okay, whenever I say sockets, how about the TCP socket? How about the UDP socket? Now, you see UDP socket, it is very simple. Okay, so you just create socket using the function socket, and then you will use bind. Okay, bind to just get the information from the client. Okay, so this is what happens in the UDP server. All right, so bind, and then you will receive from function is used to receive the data from the client, and send to function is used to send reply to the client. Okay, the same case used here also. So UDP socket, it is enough that it has the destination IP and destination port number. Okay, there is no need to communicate the source port number in UDP. Why? Can somebody give me the reply? In UDP, I need not specify the source IP address in UDP socket. Why? So I'm talking about transport layer. The socket, I need not specify the source IP. Why? Answers? Could you please unmute and give me the answer? Any guess? Come on, any guess? Hey, come on, I think that you're all listening. So can I have a guess from the class? Okay, John Emmanuel, can you guess and tell me why UDP socket does not need a source IP address? Hey, you're all sleeping or you're all listening? John Emmanuel, are you there in the meet? Okay, come on. Class, quickly type your register number in the chat box. Quickly type your register number in the chat box. Number 123. John Emmanuel, you're so late. I think you have slept. Switching it, the genie on, you slept it. Slept,
No,
I.
no, ma'am, no.
Why you didn't reply for the question that I asked?
I was just in a work, ma'am. So from work, I just came now.
Just in the work, but when you are doing a class, you are not supposed to be in a work.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Number 123, can you just tell me why UDP does not require a source IP and a port number when communicating? Why do TCP? So if you see here, I'll just show you the slide. Okay. If you could see here, the TCP has 4 tuples. Okay. So source IP, source port number, destination IP, destination port numbers. It has 4 tuples, but UDP does not have that. Okay. Why? What is the reason? Can you just get the reason from this picture at least? Anybody could answer? Tirupal, ready? Can you give the answer?
Ma'am, in transport layer, in reliable data transfer, we won't use UDP, ma'am. So that's why I'm thinking source IP address is not mentioned in the UDP.
Okay, reliable data transfer, we don't use UDP, so source IP is not referred. Okay, but my question is, why source IP is not required for UDP? Can you just relate this process with handshaking and tell me?
TCP is using
Handshaking.
three-way and check. That's why
Yeah, who
IP.
is answering this?
I'm Arpit, ma'am.
Arpit. See, listen, what Arpit said is correct. Okay. See, TCP, whenever it just create a socket function, it listens, it has to connect and accept. Can you see 2 more functions are added in TCP? The connect function, the accept function. So what happens is whenever it connect, all right, so this will send, the TCP server will send an acknowledgement. Okay, so to send an acknowledgement, this side person needed source IP and source port number. You understand? Okay, so he needs the source IP and the source port number in order to connect to this person. So the 3-way handshaking has to take place, and then the data transfer, and then the connection close. So to do that, we need source IP, source port number, destination IP, and destination port number. But what about this? In both the side, either the client side or the server side, no need to bother who is the sender. Okay, it is enough that you know who is the receiver. So the socket requires only the destination IP address. Okay, the socket requires only the destination IP, because he's not going to, for example, in UDP, you send a data, the receiver is not going to send you any response for that data. Okay, please be very clear. Suppose I ask the server for, hey, send me a video file. The server is going to reply me with the video file. But I'm asking, saying that in UDP, suppose the client is saying, send me the video file. The server will not reply that, okay, I received, send me the video file. You understand? The acknowledgement process is not there in UDP. That's why UDP socket does not require a source port number. But what about TCP? TCP is saying, send me the Word file. Server is responding, yes, I received the message, send me the Word file. So the server has to respond back to the source. So he needs the source IP and the source port number. Okay. So this is about the TCP and UDP sockets. All right. Now, a question is, what about the web server? All right. So let's take here, there are two computers and one server, and computer A, it has the IP address. Okay. A. All right. So the destination IP address is A, and it opens a web browser. Okay. Computer A opens a web browser. Similarly, here also he opens two browsers. Okay, so one is browser 1 and browser 2. So here he types just one word, okay, networking. Then here he types education books. So here he types something called science fiction book. Okay. Now, all these requests are transmitted in the destination port number 80. Okay, you understood? Because the web server is using works on the port number 80. Okay, so check out here, the source IP port is A, IP is A, and port number is 9157. So this host generates a packet with this port number, and destination IP is B and port number is 80. Okay, similarly, see here, source port is C and 9157 of port host C. Okay, then destination port number is B, 80. And coming here, source is C, 5775. It is another application of this host. Okay, another application of this host, and 80. Now, when it comes to the web server, how the web server handled this? We all know, you would have studied the concept of multi-threading in OS, operating system. Okay, you all know how operating system works, how a server works. So server doesn't just get one request and give reply, one request and give reply. If suppose the server is responding like that, we have to wait for months to get the response for Google. Okay, but how the server does, it just multi-thread the different requests. Okay, as comes parallelly, it just give response to all the request packets. Okay, so how parallelly it does, it identifies the application with the help of a socket. Okay, it identifies an application with the help of a socket. So how does it identify the application? For example, now here it says it is C, 5775. This is C, 9157. And here it is A, 9157. So A, 9157 is asking me a science fiction book. So it will respond that page. All right. Now he is asking C, 9157 is asking again a education book. So that now I will respond. Then this person is asking for networking as a topic. Let me just respond his page. So this is how the web server respond for the TCP, transport layer. Okay, web server and TCP works based on the socket, and every, even though the destination port number is same, the source port number is different. It's just taken from that group, 1024 to 65,000. From that group, it is taken. So using the IP address and the port number, it is just identified. Okay, it is just segregated. All right. So this is what is called as the web server and the TCP. So connectionless UDP service